झांझुआ राजपूत घराने से हूँ और मेरे खानदान की रगों में हमेशा ही फौजी खून रहा है। उस वक्त मैं हिंदुस्तान को एक अंग्रेज की नजर से देखता था।
अंग्रेजों का नमक खाया हमने, उसे खारिज कर दूं मैं?
लेकिन जब नजर साफ हुई तो मेरी समझ में आ गया, आजादी के लिए लड़ने वाली अगर कोई फौज है तो उसका नाम है आजाद हिंद फौज।
खानदान दी पग तार तार करके हुण रिश्ते गिना रहे हो।
You are charged with Indian Army Act Section 41, waging war against the king.
कसमें खाई थी कि अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ लड़ेंगे, चाहे खुद की जान क्यों नहीं चली जाए।
अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ हम तीनों साथ लड़े हैं, मुकदमा भी साथ ही लड़ेंगे।
Hello there, welcome to another episode of Science Monitor. I, Aishwarya Kapoor, in this show bring to you the most significant news from the world of science, technology, innovation, research, discoveries and much more. So let's get going with this week's headlines. In a new study, the University of Mumbai and the Bhabha Atomic Research Centre find antibiotic-resistant bacteria in common foods. Vigyan Prasar organizes a science training program for tribal students to encourage them to take up the field. A new app will help colorblind students to perform lab experiments. Ministry of Earth Sciences celebrates its 11th Foundation Day. And Kishore Vaigyanik Protsahan Yojana fellowships announced for science students. The top story this week. A new study done at the University of Mumbai and Bhabha Atomic Research Centre from Mumbai has raised serious concerns about our daily foods like chicken and moong sprouts being loaded with antibiotic-resistant bacteria. That is indeed a big cause of concern, Science Monitor reports.
A new study done at the University of Mumbai Food Technology Division and Molecular Biology Division of the Bhabha Atomic Research Centre, Mumbai has found that our daily foods like chicken and moong dal sprouts are heavily loaded with antibiotic-resistant bacteria. A team of scientists led by Dr. Archana Rath have isolated bacteria from food samples and cultured them on agar plates with different antibiotics using standard lab methods. This culture method is routinely practiced in the lab to test the sensitivity of bacteria to various antibiotics.
We had done sampling by taking samples of chicken and sprout from different retail food outlets in and around Mumbai, and these samples were then homogenized and they were grown on antibiotic plates in order to isolate antibiotic resistant microorganisms. Then these microorganisms were tested against 13 clinically relevant antibiotics, and we found out their MAR index, which basically tells us what is the resistance level in these microorganisms.
Scientists found some alarming results. They found that these foods had bacteria that were resistant to one or a combination of clinically used antibiotics like penicillin, Rifampicin, Streptomycin, ciprofloxacin and others. These antibiotics are routinely used by doctors to cure bacterial infections such as sepsis, urinary tract infection, meningitis and pneumonia. Consuming foods with antibiotic-resistant bacteria is a primary reason for other bacteria to develop resistance to antibiotics with time. In the long run, doctors will need newer antibiotics because bacteria that causes diseases in humans will gradually become immune to available antibiotics. Inside the body, bacteria can transfer genes for antibiotic resistance to other drug-sensitive bacteria, which helps spread antibiotic resistance in the environment. In their study, scientists also found abundance of bacteria like Acinetobacter, Enterobacter, Klebsiella in mung dal that are known to cause diseases themselves but act as reservoirs for antibiotic resistance genes. This study was published in the recent issue of the journal Current Science. Scientists warn that resistant bacteria can cross-contaminate raw salads or vegetables that are kept in the vicinity of chicken, especially in fast food joints and restaurants where proper hygiene may not always be maintained.
In case of sprouts, again the major contamination comes from the water that is used for sprouting. So that has to be controlled. Plus in sprouts the problem is that the microorganisms are present in the inner tissue of the sprout, and the environment that we use for sprouting, that is the moist and the humid moist as well as warm condition that we are using, is very amenable for the growth of and multiplication of these resistant microorganisms. So in case of sprout we have to take special precaution to maintain the hygiene.
According to the study, most of the bacteria in the mung sprouts came from manure-treated soil or contaminated irrigation water. With chicken, the resistant bacteria could have developed because of the rampant use of antibiotics in poultry farms. This study was funded by the Department of Atomic Energy Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences. The scientists now stress that similar studies must be done with other food items to ascertain their antibiotic resistance load and quality. This study will also help food authorities decide if our daily foods are fit for consumption.
To promote tribal students to pursue a career in science, Vigyan Prasar organized a science program in Thanjavur in Tamil Nadu. In this training process, they do hands-on experiments, visit laboratories and attend a lecture series by eminent scientists. Take a look.
Vigyan Prasar, an autonomous institute under the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India and Centre for Rural Development, Periyar Maniamma University, Vallam, Thanjavur, organized an intensive training program for tribal children on basic science and mathematics. The program was organized from 26th to 31st July, where tribal students from 8th to 10th standards were motivated to pursue a career in science.
विज्ञान प्रसार और DST मिलके आदिवासी क्षेत्र के बच्चों के लिए विज्ञान मेले और अलग-अलग तरीके ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं, जिसके तहत जो भारत के आदिवासी क्षेत्र हैं उसमें विज्ञान मेले आयोजित करना, साथ ही साथ जो ट्राइबल बच्चे आदिवासी बच्चे हैं उनके लिए ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम जो है प्रोवाइड करना, ताकि वो बच्चे अलग अलग लैब्स में जा सकें, वहाँ पे किस तरह से साइंटिफिक इक्विपमेंट में काम किया जा सके, उनको समझ सकें और आगे जाके बेसिक साइंस में या साइंस में अपना करियर बना सकें.
During this science program, the students went through 3 stages of training. The first stage was a popular science lecture by an eminent scientist. This year, Dr. T.V. Venkateshwaran gave a lecture titled How We Know What We Know. It discussed the scientific methods used by scholars like Aryabhat to make findings such as the spherical shape of the Earth. In stage 2, students performed hands-on experiments. This helped them in grasping theoretical science facts in real-life situations. For instance, it is well known that hot air rises. Students were shown this through an experiment consisting of a glass bottle with a balloon tied at its mouth. Rubbing the bottle generated hot air, which inflated the balloon. When they did this experiment themselves, they understood the science behind it easily. The final stage was a visit to a science lab at Periyar Maniamma University. This visit exposed them to scientific equipment and newer technologies.
इन मेलों में की खासियत ये है कि यहाँ पे जो भी एक्सपेरिमेंट किए जाते हैं वो बहुत ही लो कॉस्ट हैं और आसपास उपलब्ध जो भी सामग्री है उससे उनके लिए एक्सपेरिमेंट तैयार किए जाते हैं और वो बच्चे साइंस को एक समझ सकते हैं कि साइंस किस नियमों के आधार पर किस तरह से काम करती है.
The experiments that these students do are very low-cost experiments, which they can perform in their day-to-day life. Tribal students often do not get exposure to the scientific developments happening around the world. This program will help tribal community to enter mainstream science education and jobs.
And it's time for a very short break here. When we come back, we will tell you about an app that helps color-blind students with their chemistry experiments. That interesting story coming up after a short break. Keep watching Science Monitor. Welcome back after the break. You're watching Science Monitor. Now, some people suffer from color blindness, which makes them unable to distinguish between some colors like red and green, green and yellow, or pink and purple. So, to help color-blind students to perform chemistry experiments, scientists at the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, Kolkata, have developed a smartphone app, Color Cam, that promises to be a boon for these students. Here is all about Color Cam.
While most of us can easily see the 3 different colors in a traffic light, some people find it difficult to distinguish these colors. Colorblind individuals can see objects just like people with a normal vision, but cannot differentiate between colors like pink, purple, red and green. The most common cause of color blindness is congenital, which means that it is inherited and is present since birth. Other causes are diseases or injury that affect parts of the eye like the retina or optic nerve. On a similar note, colorblind students find it difficult to do chemistry experiments because they cannot differentiate between the colors. This is because these experiment results are inferred through changes in color. But now, a new mobile app will help them perform these experiments in a better way. For this purpose, scientists at the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research in Kolkata have developed an app called Color Cam.
Colorblind student who cannot normally see the color uses this phone camera, and the phone camera reads the color for the student. The phone camera takes the picture or the video and translates the RGB values to something called the hue, saturation and value, in short HSV, and then this HSV data is easier for the instrument to read. So when there is a color change, the HSV value changes.
The Color Cam app is freely available at the Google Play Store on your Android mobile. While doing the experiment, the student has to capture the experiment using his camera. The camera video is fed into the software that observes color changes during the experiment. As soon as the color changes, the app gives an indication to the student to stop the reaction as a beep or vibration or a combination of both. The scientists have published their results in the recent issue of the Journal of Chemical Education.
Even if you are not a colorblind person, you can still use the app to find the color of something. So you point the phone camera on something which has a color, and there is a crosshair, and the screen would actually read the name of the color.
In high school, science students are exposed to titration experiments in chemistry. Titration experiments help students to calculate the concentration of a test solution. In a titration experiment, an indicator is added to the solution that changes color when the pH of the solution changes. For example, the indicator of bromothymol blue changes color from yellow to blue when the pH changes from acidic to basic, while another indicator called phenolphthalein changes from colorless to pink under a similar shift. Colorblind students have to depend on students with a normal vision for their results. This sometimes demotivates colorblind students from taking up chemistry later in their life. With this new app, science students will be able to perform chemistry experiments with higher precision and greater ease. In this way, they can be motivated to pursue their career in chemical sciences.
And let's talk about another app. Now, the Ministry of Earth Sciences celebrated its 11th Foundation Day on 27th of July this year. The event focused around the initiatives taken by the Ministry of Earth Sciences and their upcoming projects. On this occasion, an app, India Quake, as well as a software platform, Sagarvani, were launched. Here are the details.
On the 11th Foundation Day of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Dr. Harshvardhan, Ministry of Science and Technology, Earth Science and Environment, Forest and Climate Change, pledged to provide the country with the best service in forecasting the monsoons and other weather parameters like ocean state, earthquakes, tsunamis, and other phenomena related to Earth systems. The ministry launched mobile app India Quake to tell people about different quake parameters. The second launch was that of a software platform, Sagar Vani, to help disseminate coastal information and alerts to people living in coastal areas.
It gives me great pleasure to mention that several services offered by our ministry with the societal benefits on mind are catering to a variety of sectors of economy like agriculture, aviation, water resources, shipping, sports, telecommunication, etc.
The National Center for Seismology has developed an app called India Quake. NCS has a network of 84 stations in the country. These stations are connected to NCS headquarters through satellite for real-time data communication. Earlier, NCS collected earthquake data from its network and disseminated the information to all the concerned government departments and other stakeholders through SMS, email and fax. But this caused some delay in dissemination and also restricted the number of recipients. To overcome this delay, India Quake automatically disseminates earthquake parameters like location, time and magnitude to the recipients. This will make the communication faster with no restriction on the number of recipients. Any citizen can download India Quake app and can get real-time information on his or her mobile. It will also help in reducing panic amongst people during an earthquake. Another launch on the occasion was Sagar Vani, a software platform built by the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services INCOIS under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. Earth System Science Organization ESSO and INCOIS under Ministry of Earth Sciences MOES provide oceanic information and services for the benefit of various user communities in the country. ESSO and INCOIS collaboration has adopted state-of-the-art technologies and tools for timely dissemination of oceanic information and advisory services like potential fishing zone, ocean state forecast, high wave alerts and tsunami early warnings. Through Sagar Vani, all the oceanic information will be integrated on a single central server. It also includes multilingual SMS, voice call, mobile apps, social media like Facebook, Twitter notifications, email, fax, digital display boards, radio and television broadcast units, and cloud channels. With Sagar Vani, oceanic services will be disseminated in local languages using advanced computing facilities. Sagar Vani will help the coastal community, especially fishermen, as the advisories and alerts will help meet their livelihood needs without compromising their safety at sea.
जो लक्ष्य है वो ये है कि 2019 तक हमको 80% से ज़्यादा देश के 93 मिलियन किसानों को वो जानकारी देनी है जो उनके जीवन के अंदर बहुत बड़ा गुणात्मक परिवर्तन करेगी। ये मैं समझता हूँ ये बहुत बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन है।
The Lifetime Excellence Award was presented to Professor K. Gopalan for his significant contribution in the field of isotope geoscience. The ministry also honored various scientists and engineers with awards towards major contribution in fields of earth system science and also considering the need to encourage young researchers for coming into mainstream of earth system science.
It's time for a very short break, but there's lots more on Science Monitor, so keep watching. The Department of Science and Technology, Government of India has announced the Kishore Vaigyanik Protsahan Yojana Fellowships this year to attract highly motivated students to pursue a career in science. Science Monitor tells you who is eligible and how to apply for the KVPY Fellowships. Here is our report from Bangalore.
The Department of Science and Technology, Government of India has announced the Kishore Vaigyanik Protsahan Yojana Fellowships for the year and is now accepting applications from students of class 11th, 12th and first year of graduate courses who want to pursue a career in science. This fellowship provides students with a monthly stipend of Rs 5,000 during their undergraduation and Rs 7,000 during their post-graduation. Along with the monthly fellowship, they are also entitled to receive a contingency grant that can be spent on consumables like laptops, books, and stationery. Those who wish to pursue a career in basic science streams like chemistry, physics, mathematics, statistics, biochemistry, microbiology, cell biology, ecology, molecular biology, botany, zoology should apply for this fellowship.
For these three streams, we consider, for SX and SCA streams, we consider the 10th grade marks. So we set 75% as the eligibility marks for the students under SCA and SX streams, and this is for the general category of students. And for the SC/ST students, we actually set lower eligibility marks, and which is currently 65%. And similarly, for those who are coming under the SB streams, so we have 60% as the eligibility marks for them.
After the students apply for the KVPY fellowship, their application is screened by an expert committee. The shortlisted students are invited to appear for a written aptitude test, which is held in 54 cities, followed by an interview. Meritorious students in the written exam and interview are given the fellowship. To prepare for the exam, students can access the previous year's sample question papers on the KVPY website.
KVPY scholarship has been very helpful to me because not only is it a great encouragement that we are receiving a scholarship to pursue our studies, but when we have to go do summer projects which really add to our CV and strengthen our applications in the future, the contingency grant that we receive covers our travel expenses and such things. And as a whole, it also helps us, and the contingency grant also helps us get books and other reference materials, stationery and those things. So as a whole, I think it really supports our studies.
The objective of the KVPY fellowship is to identify students with talent and aptitude for research, help them realize their academic potential, encourage them to take up research career in science, and ensure the growth of the best scientific minds for research and development in the country. In addition to the prestigious award, KVPY Fellowship helps students with a generous stipend to support their education. The contingency grant further gives them the liberty to design and conduct small experiments and purchase equipment, laptop, and books to explore knowledge beyond classrooms.
And in the history of science this week, we remember Alexander Fleming, who discovered the antibiotic penicillin accidentally in the year 1928. While he was working as a professor of bacteriology at St. Mary's Hospital in London, he observed that a bacterial plate of Staphylococcus bacteria got contaminated with a mold fungus called Penicillinum. Now, bacterial colonies that grew in proximity to the mold died. He extracted the fungal juice and found that it could effectively kill bacteria responsible for diseases such as scarlet fever, pneumonia, gonorrhea, meningitis, and diphtheria. Ever since its discovery, the antibiotic penicillin has saved millions of lives. It earned Fleming, together with Howard Florey and Ernest Chain, the Nobel Prize in Physiology Medicine in 1945. After discovering penicillin, he wrote papers on bacteriology, immunology, and chemotherapy, including original descriptions of other antimicrobials such as a lysozyme, which could lyse bacterial walls, thereby killing them. Unlike penicillin, lysozyme had weak antibacterial properties, but it found numerous applications in research later. Alexander Fleming died in the year 1955 due to coronary thrombosis. During his lifetime, Fleming received numerous awards, including the Albert Gold Medal from the Royal Society of Arts in 1946. He will always be remembered for revolutionizing the field of medicine by discovering penicillin that paved the way for continuous search for newer and better antimicrobials. Well, that is all that we could pack for you in this episode. Do send your feedback and suggestions to Science Monitor on our email ID news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar C24, Qutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. So I take your leave now, but I'll see you again next week with another episode of Science News and Innovations. Till then, bye-bye and take care.